Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I'm Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and joining me, as
And we'd
always,
like to recommend you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I almost did it first before I even said my name, and now I know I should have.
That's right. So like and subscribe, Bug Panda. And hi, everybody. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram. And I've not been banned. I'm on. I'm still. I'm good. So yay for me.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, so obviously there's something that we do need to talk about, and sometimes we do hit on these important issues like this. Uh, some people would say maybe this isn't the appropriate forum for it, but I disagree. I think we're all adults here and we can have this sort of open, intelligent discourse with each other. Something very shocking happened this week, and it needs to be addressed by us, obviously. And that is Arcade1up announced that they are doing a Killer Instinct cabinet. So I'm pretty excited about this. It was something a lot of people didn't think we were ever going to see, or at least not anytime soon. So were you a Killer Instinct guy, Kelly?
I was not, so I'm very interested. I'm very fringe information on it. So, looking forward to understanding why your excitement is there, why the skepticism was there, and I'm just kind of decompressing the fear as you started to introduce this and go in. I was like, there's a. I don't think the time is right for certain kinds of humor right now. So, at all. Much relieved that we can talk about that game. So, yeah. So I'm not. So tell me more, Mike. First, describe the game a little bit and why you're excited.
So, well, first off, we got our Arcade1up CES announcements. They promised big things, lots of new cabinets, completely delivered. Bizarrely, like a lot of people, I was expecting more driving, more shooting. We got none of that whatsoever. Lots of cool stuff, though. A couple things we knew that were coming. They had talked about doing some legacy, what they're now calling legacy edition cabinets, being cabinets that have more games on them from a specific publisher. We did get announcements of three of those. We got an Atari Legacy cabinet, which is coming with an Atari customizer that is modeled after the old Tempest cabinet. Were you a Tempest guy at all,
I was
Kelly?
definitely a Tempest guy. Loved the cabinet, loved the game.
And that's what's cool about these. These legacy cabinets are not sort of the standard Arcade1up or even regular standard cabinet. These are sort of the better known customized cabinets from these companies. So the Tempest, of course, that had a unique look to it. The one I'm more excited about, the Capcom Legacy Edition. We've talked about Capcom kind of dropping the ball on some of their arcade products. Arcade1up luckily is stepping in, taking care of this. So this has 12 games on it, multiple Street Fighter games, but you also get some cool stuff like Final Fight, Darkstalkers, Ghost and Goblins, which I'm really excited about. I'm a big Ghost and Goblins fan. I don't know about you.
I like it. Like it.
Difficult game, but a lot of fun once you get into it. So I was excited about that. Great look to that cabinet, particularly with the yellow trim and bright colors and things on there. You also get a Bandai Namco cabinet, which is Pac-Man branded. You a Pac-Man guy at all, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. And you had variants after that, and traditional initial Pac-Man's my favorite. I mean, I liked some of the different riffs they did on it later, but the original Pac-Man's my favorite Pac-Man version.
The only downside to that cabinet for me is that there's no Mrs. Pac-Man on there. That would have been cool, but they did just recently come out with their Mrs. Pac-Man cabinet, so I'm sure they're, still trying to sell those. They also came out with, they did do a couple of cocktail tables in the past, but now they're doing their first pub table. So, pub size, larger stand-up table. What were your thoughts on this there, taking a look at these images?
So, I mean, I thought, they had built up, hey, big announcement, lots of stuff, and they delivered, that's for sure. The pub table, so I'm trying to decide, so that's, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that's just, I mean, it's Pong-like games, right? Is that the
Yeah, it's mostly Pong related games. It also has Super Breakout, Tempest, Warlords, which I'm not familiar with.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with Warlords. Okay, cool. Yeah, if it had stayed kind of strictly in kind of Pong territory, which even Breakout to me is pretty pongy, if you will.
Right.
But with Tempest and Warlords, then you get some good stuff. Yeah, there's a huge number of ports on Warlords, including an Atari 2600 one, which for Atari 2600 stuff was actually a pretty good game on there. But yeah, so those will add to it, and those are good games for kind of a multiplayer folks going around and doing stuff, particularly Warlords, I'd say.
Interesting. Yeah, Warlords was the one I really wasn't familiar with, but I did see a couple people mention they were excited about that being included.
Yeah, and the Atari list on their Legacy cabinets, I mean, they've got the things you'd have to have on there: Asteroids Deluxe, Missile Command. Are you a Missile Command guy?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the Taito additions to the At Games Legends. They did a title pack that was included in there, and you gotta like you gotta like Missile Command. That's a good game, especially with the trackball.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Missile Command fan. But that brings us to, so I'm probably definitely in for the Capcom cabinet.
Okay.
I love the Street Fighter games. I held off on the standalone Street Fighter cabinet. They also did the Final Fight cabinet. They did a Capcom cocktail. This kind of combines everything that they've done Capcom related into one unit, a big cross section of the Street Fighter games, then a bunch of the other Capcom games that I love. Final Fight, which sort of exists in the same universe as Street Fighter, but Darkstalkers, Ghouls and Ghosts, things like that I'm really excited about. Then the two big ones that it seems most people are excited about: a 4-player X-Men cabinet with X-Men Riser that's also going to include Captain America and the Avengers Galactic Storm. So were you a 4-player X-Men game? I do remember loving this arcade game.
I did. I didn't get a lot of because a lot of my buddies that would be, if we go hit the arcade and do some of that, they were less enthusiastic about that. So I don't have a lot of hours on it, but I liked it quite a bit. Any of the kind of 4-player setups they'd have up in an arcade were always typically pretty cool and fun. That was a particularly strong one. I just didn't get as many hours in it as I probably would have liked when we kind of hit the arcade.
And then, of course, Killer Instinct. That's a big one. A lot of people didn't think this was coming. They have openly talked about trying to get Killer Instinct in the past. Lots of rights issues. There's a few different companies that were involved with developing and publishing the game. And then also just the emulation. There's a lot of terrible ROMs of Killer Instinct out there. Anybody who's tried to play Killer Instinct ROM of the original game, you will notice it is suspiciously absent from most virtual console offerings and things like that. It's a game that came out right on the cusp of what was then sort of the next generation systems that were coming out. So for the most part, a lot of the older systems just couldn't handle what was going on with Killer Instinct. There was a Super Nintendo port of it and a few things like that that I'm not going to say were bad games, but in comparison to the arcade game, we're missing huge amounts of the game there. It's a one-on-one fighting game that introduced an insane combo system that would allow you to go on combo runs of 30, 40 hits, things like that. Okay. That kind of became what the game is based around. It's based around stringing together these ridiculously long combos.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to check out some gameplay on that.
And what's interesting, too, is what it's paired with. So you get Killer Instinct and Killer Instinct 2. But you also get Battletoads, the arcade edition.
Okay. It's a good game.
It's an odd pairing. I do love Battletoads, though, so I'm not complaining. And then there's also another bonus game on there, of Battletoads Double Dragon. And while I do like that game, that was a console game. So that's a weird, and I know they are sort of billing it as like a bonus game, but that's a weird one to kind of throw on there for me, more so than Battletoads itself, because there was an arcade Battletoads.
Yep.
So What's great about this cabinet, though, unfortunately, again, not in their pinball, Killer Instinct is going to have online play. So you can play against people and get 90 hit combos on them
Nice.
anywhere, anywhere in the world with an internet connection. So
So is this the first online play Arcade1up?
no, there's been a couple of them now, which is why I think so many people, including myself, were let down with the pinball not featuring any kind of online play or leaderboards or anything like that, because NBA Jam was the first one,
Okay.
and then the Street Fighter X-Men cabinets had it as well. So they've done it a few times, so it was more suspiciously missing
Hmm.
from some of the other ones. But it's interesting that Killer Instinct has it, especially when it's one that they seemingly would struggle to emulate properly. But people are excited, and apparently what this comes from what I was reading, and I did zero fact checking on this. So according to the articles I was reading, they had to upgrade some of their chips in order to do the light gun connectivity for Buck Hunter. So when they upgraded those chips to sort of what would have been the next generation gaming system, that's what opened up the door for them to finally be able to put out Killer Instinct.
Okay. Makes sense.
So that, and I guess cutting through the red tape of, I believe, Rare, Nintendo, and Midway were all involved in Killer Instinct. So that's led to strange rights issues and things like that. And a big part of why Killer Instinct, despite being a very popular game, doesn't have a huge catalog of sequels or anything like that. And then finally, this is the one they'd already announced, but I do think it looks really cool. That's the Dragon's Lair cabinet.
Yep.
And what's especially cool about it is you can get it as Dragon's Lair or as Space Ace. And both cabinets, both variants are going to feature Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 and Space Ace on there.
So which way would you go? So you're going to be off-brand at some point. Playing Dragon's Lair and you're wrapped in Space Ace, or you're playing Space Ace and you're wrapped in Dragon's Lair. Which way would you go?
Probably Dragon's Lair. That was my introduction to those sort of quick time event games, so that's the one that I would go with personally. And I did play Space Ace, but I definitely played a lot more Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, it's been as I think Space Ace is a really good game as well, but it clearly is a sequel to, I mean,
Right.
not storyline wise, but it's a continuation of the mojo of Dragon's Lair, as obviously Dragon's Lair 2 is. But since it's kind of the OG, I think I would definitely go. It's tempting. We talked about it before whether I would go for it. And originally I was like, boy, just since I'm not building out a full arcade like some people,
Right.
I didn't know if I wanted to kind of give up floor space for a one game thing. But we also theorized that it probably wasn't going to be one game, and so you get Dragon's Lair 2, and Space Ace. Be under consideration. So this whole
Nice.
universe of awesome things, some pretty cool additions. Sounds like the Capcom one is the front runner for you.
Yeah, Capcom's probably going to be the first pickup for me. I don't believe a U.S. price was announced for that. I know there was a Canadian site taking pre-orders, and I didn't do my due diligence to see what the exchange rate on that would be. But I do know the pre-orders are up for the Namco Bandai unit, and that's $400 for the 12 games.
Okay, it's not too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Canadian dollars it's metric, so one Canadian dollar equals 10 American dollars. I think that's how it works. I'm sure. Someone could check my math on that, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
But yeah, if Capcom is coming in around 400 with that great looking cabinet, 12 games, and obviously I'm not going to because I'm trying to build out an arcade, but you can easily. There's tons of videos online to add games to these machines. It's a very easy thing to do, to customize these and add more games to them. So that's top of the list. Killer Instinct is really high for me. I assume that's one that's going to sell out fast. That's one that everybody seems most excited about. Dragon's Lair looks incredible, though, because it does have the form factor of the original arcade machine. Because, again, with these new ones, they are matching the original exact customized forms on some of these. One thing that all of these have that Arcade1up never did in the past, which everybody except me seems super excited about, they do have fake coin doors on them now too.
I you lost me at fake. You put a real coin door on it. You let me monetize my investment. Then we'll talk. Then I'll be excited. But you could 3D. I mean, if you wanted a fake one, you could 3D print one without too much difficulty and attach that to your cap. But I'm not really sure.
And this just looks like a little plastic faceplate that's glued to the front of it.
Yeah.
For me, there's no real interest there. I have seen a lot of people online though who are really excited about these fake coin doors.
Okay.
So
good for them.
yeah. I mean, and honestly, what I think this has to come from is Neo Geo, when they put out their cabinet last year, that has a coin door sort of printed on the artwork for it, and people seemed really excited about that. So clearly, Arcade1up was paying attention, and to get these little plastic molded coin doors on there, again, zero interest to me. I mean, it's not going to bother me that it's there, but that's in no way a selling point for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a purist, someone who's like, I really want to. But typically, I mean, if you've been doing the Arcade1ups, you're already not. You're smaller. You're not the size of it. So, you've already kind of given up photorealistic simulation. So, but I know to each his own in terms of those. Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't bother me. And again, these are all. So one of the things with the older, especially the first generation Arcade1up cabinets, they all kind of had the same cut to them, regardless of if that identically matched the side panels of the arcade units. These all have different side panels now. These are all, they're definitely going for the cut of the original arcade units. So maybe it's just, in line with that, but I could really take or leave it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things they're interesting to me on there. I'll have to, but as I kind of eventually put in order these things, I'm gonna kind of keep coming back to that Legends Pinball as what's the next major purchase, and that kind of still takes me in a whole different place on some stuff. So that's still kind of high for me, but they've at least put some things on the table for me to think about, because the pub table concept, particularly with Tempest and Warlords on it, that's a nice kind of different experience if you've got kind of a game room, or whether it's a full arcade like Mike's putting together, or just you've got some things down there. It's another way for people to enjoy these but interact more. So I want to probably look at that a little bit too.
Yeah, that's something that definitely interests me, and I'm curious to see if this does well, if we're going to see some more of these pub tables. I was definitely interested in the cocktail table. I almost pulled the trigger on the Capcom cocktail table. Some of the reviews of it, though, said it was too short, the Capcom one. And then their second round of cocktail tables they did of Miss Pac-Man, and there was another one. Those were taller. Those were like more the appropriate cocktail table size. So people did comment on that. But now with the pub table, that's, for me, a lot more interesting. I do, eventually I'm going to run out of room, so I can't just pick any cabinet. I do have to kind of pick and choose what I want to go in there. Part of the reason I was considering a cocktail table to begin with was the form factor of having the table in there too. So this is something that makes more sense to me. I'm not a big Pong guy, but Tempest, of course, and I am interested in Warlords since everybody seems excited about that.
That's good.
So I do want to check that out and find out more about that.
Yeah, well, and you're going to run into some problems here because you've got all your square footage to do your arcade, but you really already have to reserve half of that room for your old-time photo booth, because you still got to put that in. And then, of course, when you build the biggest and most ridiculous self-built arcade experience ever, that's going to take up a chunk. So you got some challenges to work through.
That might go in the living room. Obviously, that's going to be a conversation piece. We're going to want that front and center when someone walks into the home.
Maybe it can simply become an addition to the house. Just got an appendage that sticks out. Oh, that's just my arcade game.
I build like a sub-basement bomb shelter type thing you go into to enter this arcade cabinet.
Yeah, something to think about.
But yeah, I think these are really exciting. I am a little bit disappointed no more shooting games because I have my heart set on a particular shooting game. But now the Killer Instinct is coming. That shooting game seems so much closer because I've been hoping for particularly something like House of the Dead, which still seemed next generation over what they've been doing.
Yep.
But now Killer Instinct clearly pushes them into that more 3D game space. So I feel like that should be coming soon.
Well, they're cranking. Obviously, they've been putting a lot of stuff out. So there was, a big amalgam here. But we'll have to see what comes next. So very cool. Well,
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of jump on, talk about kind of some initial reactions to some of the really cool additions that are coming out from Arcade1up. Would love to hear from you folks if you've got anything in there that's really excited you, or anything that you hope is next, or you kind of on Team Mike on that. And that, so certainly would love to hear from you in the comments on that.
Why are you super excited about fake coin doors?
That would be helpful too, Phil.
Yeah.
Phil, enlighten us. We appreciate it. That'd be awesome. I mean, you do you. If that's your thing.
Yeah,
great,
no, I have
but
nothing against it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, people are pumped about these coin doors.
I don't know. Like I said, I'll go operating coin door. Yeah, absolutely. Fake coin door. I don't need that. And we have another episode where I've got you talk about looking forward to shooting. Well, with a minor edit or two. I've got some serious things to work with. So you're gonna be seeing a lot more of Mike being somewhat controversial in the future. So
Hey,
I appreciate that.
I threw it out right at the beginning that we had to talk about something serious that happened this week. Killer Instinct.
There you go, which is good. That's what we need to talk about. So, all right. Anything else to this show, Mike?
No, I think that's about it. Like Kelly said, guys, leave us comments. Tell us what games you want to hear us talk about, why you're excited about coin doors. I assume it's got to just be the aesthetics of, a more immersive arcade experience, but I'm definitely curious.
Sounds good. All right. Hey, thanks for watching, folks.
Thanks, everybody.